history is written by the victors. It forgets those who refuse to play the game. After the fires of Fort Zeekden, Ivalice didn't mourn. It simply turned the page. The Corpse Brigade became a footnote, lines in a war report lost to time. And Ramza Beoulve, scion of a noble house, chose to disappear. Delita Heiral did not. Instead, he rose. He learned to trade his soul for a throne. Ramza learned a more dangerous lesson. That usefulness is merely a polite word for obedience. So he shed his name. He shed his crest. He took mercenary coin not to survive, not like the brigands he once hunted, but to stay unclaimed by church or crown. This isn't a story about a fallen hero. It is the story of the cost, of standing upright in a world that demands you kneel. When Ramza disappears from the record, he does not fall. He steps outside. Without a crest, he enters the real world, where coin replaces oaths, where contracts replace honor. Loyalty here isn't sworn, it is rented. Under Gafgarian, Ramza learns the Mercenary's law. Survival first, virtue optional. And yet, the mud doesn't stain him. He fights with discipline when cruelty would be faster. He intervenes when walking away would be safer. Stripped of the Beoulve name, he becomes something rarer than a knight. A man acting on principle with no promise of reward. This is the great misunderstanding of Ramza's exile. He is not lost, he is unclaimed. While others wear masks to climb, titles, banners, faith, Ramza takes his off. Every job tests him. Every battlefield asks the same question. What is honor worth when no one is watching? Each time, Ramza answers the same way. Not with words, with refusal. The storm at Orbonne Monastery should have been an ending. Instead, it becomes a reckoning. When Princess Ovelia is taken, Ramza doesn't give chase for coin or contract. He chases because he recognizes the kidnapper. Delita Heiral. Alive. Armored, adorned in gleaming gold plate. Serving a new master. A different lion. The boy Ramza, buried in his mind at Zeekden, stands before him, changed beyond reach. They do not speak. There is no embrace, no accusation. Only recognition and distance. Delita moves with terrifying purpose. Ramza freezes, not from fear, but from disbelief. In that look, something essential breaks. The illusion that they are still on the same side. This is where the path truly splits. Delita survives by being useful. Ramza survives by being honest. Orbonne doesn't reunite them. It confirms what the fire at Zeekden began. They are no longer brothers. They are mirrors, reflecting opposite truths, standing on the same battlefield, but fighting two different wars. Dorder Trade City is where Ramza learns the new price of intervention. This isn't a battlefield. It's a marketplace. Information is bought. Violence is subcontracted. When the ambush comes, it is precise. The archers on the roofs aren't there to make a statement. They are there to delay. Someone wants Ramza slowed, redirected, kept away from the truth. There is a shift from the academy at Garland. Back then, obedience brought praise. Here, initiative draws blood. But Ramza fights anyway. He doesn't abandon the squires to save himself. He presses forward, knowing that every minute he spends fighting in this alley is a minute his enemies are using to arrange the board against him. Dorter teaches Ramza a brutal lesson. Morality doesn't just stop harm. It creates an opening for those who exploit it. Doing the right thing doesn't make him righteous. It makes him predictable. And yet he refuses to adapt. Because to win by becoming ruthless would mean losing himself. Aragway Woods offers Ramza something rare in this chapter. A choice with no audience. This wounded chocobo carries no secrets. It threatens no kings. Saving it buys Ramza nothing. No leverage, no coin, no favor to call in later. In a world defined by cold transactions, this moment is a quiet rebellion. Ramza intervenes without hesitation, no calculation, no weighing of risk against reward. He acts because suffering is in front of him, and his hands can stop it. That instinct hasn't dulled since the academy. If anything, exile has refined it. This matters because no one is watching. Not the high nobility, not the church, not history. The chocobo follows him not because he commanded it, but because he earned its trust. In a chapter dominated by control, Aragway Woods shows us who Ramza is when power is irrelevant. He isn't saving the world here. He is saving one life. By doing so, he proves his honor was never tied to a banner. It belongs only to him. Ziershell Falls is where loyalty finally shows its true shape. On this narrow bridge, wrapped in mist and rushing water, the world splits in two. Then Gafgarian turns. The betrayal is not emotional. It is procedural. Orders have changed. The coin has spoken. Ramza learns a hard truth here. Loyalty is not breaking, it is being redirected. Gafgarian does not hate him. He values the contract over the connection. Ramza draws his blade anyway. He fights the man who mentored him, the man who sold him a version of honor stripped of illusion. Now Gafgarian proves that even a cynic can be a slave to his paymaster. And then there is Delita. He intervenes, cutting down knights with terrifying efficiency. He is not protecting Ovelia because he cares. He protects her because she is useful. Ramza stands between them and sees the trap clearly. One man trades his conscience for gold. The other trades his humanity for power. He chooses neither. The Falls marks the moment Ramza realizes that loyalty has become a weapon. He refuses to let anyone else hold the hilt. After Ziershell, Ramza makes a choice that looks like retreat, but isn't. The bridge clears. Gafgarian is gone. Princess Ovelia stands alive, shaken, and still at the center of every scheme in Ivalice. Ramza could insist on leading her. He could claim authority by strength, by proximity, or by blood spilled on her behalf. He does not. Instead, he accepts Agrius's judgment. Lionel Castle is the safest path, or so they believe. The church claims neutrality, and sanctuary still seems possible. Ramza doesn't pretend the choice is clean. He understands something Delita already exploits. Possession invites manipulation. By stepping back, Ramza denies himself power over Ovelia. Control is easy. Trust takes discipline. As Ovilia leaves with Agrius, Ramza doesn't follow to enforce obedience. He lets her go, knowing the risk, knowing separation may cost him the chance to save her later. This moment defines him. Ramza does not protect by owning. He protects by refusing to rule. In a world where everyone moves the princess like a piece on a board, Ramza is the one who lets her walk away. The streets of Zaland force Ramza into a familiar position, one he now understands all too well. A man is being hunted in the open. The danger is obvious. Intervention will draw enemies Ramza cannot afford. For a moment, he could walk past. He knows exactly what it would cost to look away. But he steps in anyway. Mustadio Bonanza is not a noble. He is not a rebel. He is a machinist, caught in the wake of power he does not understand. This echoes the rescue of Argith at Mandalia Plains, but the context has shifted entirely. In Chapter 1, rescue earned him approval. Here it earns him a death sentence. By agreeing to help Mustadio, Ramza chooses complication with open eyes. He understands now that every stranger he saves is another weight to carry. This is the quiet evolution of Ramza's courage. He no longer believes doing the right thing will be rewarded. He does it knowing it will cost him. Zaland marks the moment Ramza stops hoping the world will meet him halfway. He says yes anyway. Lionel Castle appears exactly as it should. White stone, holy sigils, open gates. After weeks of ambushes and betrayal, it feels like arrival, relief earned through endurance. Cardinal Delacroix greets them warmly. His words are measured, his concern practiced. Princess Ovilia is offered protection. Agrius kneels in gratitude. For a brief moment, Ramza lets himself believe that something solid still exists in this world. Then the cracks show. Delacroix knows too much. He asks the right questions too quickly. His interest in the Zodiac Stone sharpens in ways that have nothing to do with faith. Sanctuary is granted, but conditionally. Ovilia stays. Agrius stays. Ramza is sent away. It is the most telling decision the duplicitous Delacroix makes. Ramza realizes too late that safety here is not about protection. It is about containment. Lionel does not shield the innocent. It separates threats from leverage. By removing Ramza, Delacroix neutralizes the one man least willing to play along. Ramza leaves the castle stripped of influence, but he gains clarity. Sanctuary, he learns, is just another word for ownership. On the rooftops in Goug, Ramza faces a choice Delita would never make. The Bert Trading Company does not care about ideology. They want results. The ultimatum is clean and cruel. Trade the Zodiac Stone for Mustadio and his father's lives. Power for blood. Ramza does not hesitate. He kneels, offers the stone, and accepts the loss of every advantage it represents. To the men watching, it looks like surrender. It is not. Moments later, we learn the stone was a fake, a decoy. But the instinct was real. Ramza's first move was not to outplay his enemy. It was to ensure Mustadio and his father survived, then deal with the consequences. This is where Ramza and Delita separate completely. Delita would sacrifice 10 Mustadios to secure the board. Ramza flips the board to save one. Goug proves what exile has taught him. Power gained by treating people as tools always demands another sacrifice. Ramza refuses to decide who dies next. Ramza does not return to Lionel seeking justice. He returns because leaving would be a lie. Delita's warning at Warhelis lingers like smoke. "You are standing in the current," he says. He isn't wrong. Dukes, princes, and priests are swept along by a design larger than themselves. Ramza understands that now. But understanding doesn't grant him safety. It strips it away. He could turn aside. He could disappear again into mercenary work, into anonymity, into survival. No one would blame him. History would barely notice. Instead, he turns back. Not because he believes he can win. He turns back because Ovelia and Agrias remain inside a system he has already seen rot from the core. Knowledge without action makes him complicit. Silence would be consent. This is the defining shift of Chapter 2. Ramza stops reacting to danger and begins accepting responsibility for what he knows. He walks toward Lionel without a banner, without an army, armed with only conviction. For the first time since Zeekden, Ramza chooses not just to endure the world as it is, but to stand against it. Golgotha Gallows is built for theater. The execution platform waits in silence, ropes swaying in the wind. Justice is staged here before truth ever arrives. When Ramza rushes in, the trap snaps shut. The condemned is a decoy, the executioner is Gafgarian. It is an ambush meant to end a problem, not to prove a point. This time, Ramza does not hesitate. Gafgarian presses hard, fueled by pride and unfinished business. His retreat is not strategic as much as it is desperate. But when Ramza finally cuts him down at the gates of the castle, there is no triumph, only closure. "Goodbye, Gafgarian," Ramza says simply. The man who taught him the mercenary's truth dies proving it. Lionel Castle follows immediately. Inside, masks fall away. Cardinal Delacroix no longer hides behind doctrine. The church's neutrality is revealed as strategy. The Zodiac Stones are not relics. The Zodiac Stones are keys. Faith is not corrupted. It is instrumental. When Delacroix transforms into the demon Cuchulainn, Ramza does not recoil. He fights. By striking down the Cardinal, Ramza rejects the last authority left standing. Not crown, not church, not demon. History will not record this moment as salvation. It will record it as heresy. And so the name is given, not by Ramza, but by those who survive him. Heretic. Not because he betrayed Ivalice, but because he refused to kneel to what ruled it. When the dust settles on Lionel, Ramza Beoulve has nothing the world recognizes as power. He has no title. He has no army. He has no blessing from crown or church. What he has instead is clarity. He has seen loyalty sold and faith weaponized. He has watched institutions reveal themselves not as guardians of order, but as architects of control. Where others adapted, Ramza refused. He paid for it in blood, in exile, and erasure. But he is not alone. Agrias rides at his side now, her oath no longer bound to a cathedral, but to the man who proved conviction needs no permission. Mustadio follows, carrying knowledge too dangerous to be sanctioned. Delita ascends as Ramza disappears. One moves inward toward power. The other moves outward toward consequence. Ramza's tragedy is not that he loses everything. It is that he keeps walking forward without it. In a world ruled by kings, demons, and lies, Ramza Beoulve chooses conscience. And history will never forgive him for it.